Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Villa in Noir. It is midweek mashup time, and you know what? These last 12 hours have been absolutely crazy for any Villa fans that are staying up to date. Before anything else in this video, please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. I'm enjoying all the engagement I'm getting in the videos. I'm enjoying all the new subscribers. Thank you so much for the support. I broke through the 100 subscriber category the other day, and I was excited about that. I said last week that I want to reach that as soon as possible, and we've reached it. So you know what? Keep sharing it, keep subscribing. I'm hoping that I can reach the 1,000 subscriber point quicker than even the 100 one. You know, so thank you so much for the support. I'll continue to engage with you as much as I can. You know, this is always about getting Villa out there. It's so good to see more content creators getting involved in the Villa game as well. So, yeah, what a few hours we've had as Villa fans. You know, even from before I went to bed yesterday and this morning, two different states of play for the club. And with midweek mashups, anyone that's watching for the first time, the first part I'll go through the Villa news, then I'll do a breakdown of the game that we previously had, seeing how we went, how the stats are looking, the patterns of play that we were probably looking at, and just see what we can improve on. Yeah, but the news that's going on right now is absolutely mind-boggling. Not in a bad way, but things are happening so quickly. Just before I went to bed yesterday, I'm hearing that Munchie is leaving. Okay, Munchie is leaving. Our president of football operations is moving on, and trying to figure out, is this something that he's wanted? Is it something that Unai wanted? Did it come from the top bosses? Because there's so many different areas to speculate here. You know, Munchie could be tired. He could just not be happy with how things are going. You know, the same for Unai. He might just not be happy with how things are going, especially as Munchie is the person at the forefront of recruitment. And the reason why I think that, I remember the interview that Unai did, the game just before the end of the deadline, the transfer deadline, and he was quite honest in what he said. Well, he was quite direct in just kind of alluding to the fact that there's only so much you can do with certain players. There's only so much you can do when there's injuries and you don't have squad depth. I think it was a game, I can't remember who it was against now, but I remember looking at the bench that day and just seeing a whole load of young kids, and I was like, yeah, we're struggling at the moment, especially with all the injuries that we've got. And he was quite direct in how he spoke about the fact that we're lacking in depth, we're lacking in squad, we're lacking in quality. And then the next day, Lindelof, Elliot, Sancho all get signed. So it was just very interesting to hear that, because maybe from then we're seeing that Unai probably wasn't all the way pleased with how things are going in terms of the recruitment. So it's just something to consider, especially now that Monchi's gone, especially because they're boys as well, you know. But they always say, you know, don't mix friends and family with business, because when things go wrong, when you don't see eye to eye, it can cause problems. So yeah, Monchi's leaving. I don't know how people feel about that. I'll be really interested to hear what your thoughts are. If I'm honest, you know, his role as the president of football operations, one of those things is recruitment. And if I'm honest, if we look at his recruitment, if we look at the people that he's brought in, we look at the people we've let go as well under his watch. I know we're under constraints. I know we've got some barriers and hurdles, PSR, UEFA spending regulations that other teams didn't have to battle before. But in a time where spending is more scrutinized than ever, is it not more important then to make sure that your spending is correct? And if we look at the list of the people that he's brought in since taking over in all his transfer windows, I want us to think about how many of them have really been hits rather than misses. Let's have a look at this. You've got Moussa Diaby, Pau Torres, Yuri Tielemans, Clement Longley, Zaniolo, Rogers, Gauchi, Nedeljkovic, Onana, Matson, Barkley, Enzo Berentia, Samuel Illing Jr., Doniel Marlon, Andres Garcia, Rashford, Asensio, Disasi, Gisan, Bizot, Lindelof, Elliott, Sancho. Now those last three, we still are yet to see. Giesand, still yet to see, but from what I'm seeing, personally, I don't think he's that good, or he's not the person that we thought he was. But if we take into account all of those incomings, whether they're loan or permanent, how many of them have hit? And then also, how much have we spent on them? If I look at that list of players, I've said it a few times, the only ones that have really come in and just kicked off like to a high level is Morgan Rogers last year and Yuri Tielemans, both of which is a grand total of £8 million spent. But then we spent 30 mil on Geese and we spent 50 mil on Onana. You know, we spent a ton of money on Donyell Marlon. Right? In a season or in a period of time where spending is more scrutinised than ever, I think it's important that we have more hits than misses, right? When it comes to recruitment. And that's when I'm thinking about the departure of Munchie, you know, the person that comes in next has to hit in January, has to hit next summer, because otherwise we're screwed. We can't keep spending. We can't keep putting out these big wages, putting out a massive wage bill, spending crazily on players, and they're not coming to fruition because we're wasting our money. And all of that counts against us when it comes to the scrutinisation of our spending. I don't know what you think about that. So Munchie's leaving. Woke up this morning, seeing a few rumours, seeing a few predictions on who it might be. Great content creator on TikTok, Adam the CCO, Villa fan. Great breakdown. He's got a great understanding of the sports industry. He was talking, I was watching his TikTok and he was talking about a Roberto Alabe, who he was predicting would be the next president of football operations because of his close relationship with Unai and also his success at Real Sociedad. And then literally in the last hour. But apparently Roberto Alabe is the odds on. You know, some sources say that it's confirmed, some sources say it's near to confirmed, some sources say it's nowhere near confirmed. But Roberto Alabe, the previous president of football operations at Real Sociedad, is our biggest link. And, you know, if that's the case, you know, he's evidently friends with Uwe, has a relationship with Unai. He's also got a decent record when it comes to this role. And what I will say is, regardless of who comes in personally, the way I see it is, guys, that whoever comes in has to go beyond just recruitment. You know, we have to look at football development. We have to look at the stabilisation of finances, balancing the books. So again, spending is important in that. But also, when I think about football development, and, you know, Alabe has a proven record of being able to develop players and good signings. So I think whilst at Sociedad, you know, he signed Isak, he signed Odegaard, you know, in terms of player development, even Zubimendi, who's now at Arsenal, came through the ranks at Sociedad. So, you know, I'm hoping that there is a forward thinking beyond just the immediate now, but to our academy. You know, why can't we be like City, who seemingly every year have an academy graduate who becomes a key factor in their team? You know, Foden, the Palmers, you've got the Rico Lewises, you've got now the O'Reilly kid. You know, when I think about Villa, where have those players been? I know we sold them off. You know, I think we had Chukwuemeka a few years ago, and now where is he? He's in Italy, I think, or France, or Germany. Oh, he's in Germany, sorry. But we need to try and find a way to develop these players and also hold on to them. Who is the next Aaron Ramsey? Who's the next Jack Grealish that can come through our academy? You know, I think that's important for us, and it's clear that we have a good academy. You know, last year, the youth team won the youth FA Cup and then also won the youth Premier League. You know, there's good players. We need to find a way to develop them and bleed them into the main frame. So I'm hoping that Alabe comes in with this mindset, not just on recruitment, but also the development of the academy and football development at all levels within the club. Because your role is the president of football operations, way beyond just the transfers. So I have faith that if it is him, I might post this tomorrow and it's not him. But all the things are looking that it's going to be him at this present moment. So let's just hope that the recruitment of this individual is key, and this individual comes in and is able to get the best out of the next transfer window, get the best out of the development system, and also has the confidence of Unai Emery as well. Yeah. So yeah, let's get into the breakdown from Sunderland game. I feel like I'm a bit calmer now. Yeah, there's been a lot to take in. I appreciate a lot of the input and the feedback people have been giving as well, people's perspectives on the mindset of the players. It was very clear at the end of the game on Sunday that something is amiss when it comes to the squad, and when it comes to the squad morale. Yeah. But Sunderland, let's have a look. What went right and what went wrong? Personally, I'm going to look at this game and think it was all wrong. We should never have left that game with a draw. I think we were blessed in some respects to get a draw. But let's look at some of the stats to see what was really going on in the game. All right. So if you have a look now at the average positions of our team, you can kind of see the issue. Now, I know some of these players didn't play the whole game, but it's interesting to see where they were whilst they were on the pitch to be able to ascertain just their average positions. And I'm going to look here at the right-hand side. Yeah. All right, let's just have a look here at the right-hand side. And this is the key for me. Giesand, well, to be fair, okay. First of almost, our centre-backs are higher up than usual. We can see that Unai is always trying to use one of the DMs to kind of cover like into a low-key back three kind of vibe, which is Kamara. And I think Kamara is the best at doing this. So it was good to have him back. Hopefully he can get to full match fitness so he can complete the game as time goes on. However, I think our problems lie in these areas here. Because we have, God in heaven, we have our fullbacks and the two individuals that are meant to be our could be inside forwards, could be our wingers in the same average position. Which says to me that once it gets to this area here, we haven't got much going forward. I will have to do this now because I've given him so much heat. Matty Cash, I want to give a massive shout out to. He made a few mistakes, as he does. It's Matty Cash. He makes mistakes. But I think he put in a massive shift for us on Sunday. And, on 2 counts, if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be where we are. If he didn't score, we wouldn't have scored. If he didn't get the person sent off, we wouldn't have been playing against 10 men. So massive shout out to Matty Cash. But look at his heat map and then look at Giesand's heat map. Let's go on to the other side. Let's look at Dinia's heat map. Okay, quite wide, quite far up as well. I'm guessing this is after the 10 men. And then let's look at Emi Buendia's heat map. Occupying spaces where I don't really think he needs to be operating in. And that was the biggest red flag for me, is when Unai, starting 11, had Emi Buendia on the left-hand side. Because I don't think he didn't. I said it on the stream. He wasn't good enough to even get in our squad last season. How is it that he is now our starting left hand side of the front three or the three behind the striker? Doesn't make any sense. But let's have a look at what happens when the substitutes came on. All right, here we go. Maatsen a lot higher. Sancho way higher. I know it was only 10 minutes, but straight away, and I don't know if anyone saw how quickly he just decided to move the ball. And I know that a lot of people are skeptical about Sancho. I really do think he's a brilliant answer for us on the left-hand side. I think, however, the best way for him to play is to have someone with speed on the left-hand side with him. He can't play with Digne. He needs to play with intricate ball players, those that are going to play the balls around the corner. And I don't know about you as well. I think when you see how him and Harvey Elliott move off the ball, you can see the clear difference in quality in some respects. I don't know whether it's because they have pride in how they play, or whether and come back to my main screen. I don't know whether it's because they have pride in how they play, and they don't believe in settling down to the level of opposition, but just seeing the hunger that they had to get on the ball, yes, they were fresh, but where was this from our players? These players that have been at the club for a few years, where is that for them? Where is that for them? And I'll speak to you later when I think what our starting lineup should be every game, if possible, if possible. But straight away you can see that, the positions that they occupied are much better. Sancho definitely on the left. Harvey Elliott, occupying this inside forward, a little bit Mo Salah-esque, because Matty Cash was able to go on the outside. And I think, when you've got a fullback that can bomb forward, you have an opportunity for inside forward as well to be able to link up in the middle. What I didn't understand, and I won't understand, is the fact that to this point yet, Unai hasn't played those guys and Morgan Rogers. And as much as people want Morgan Rogers out, he lost the ball too many times on the weekend. This is actually part of his game, if I'm honest with you. I think if we were to be really honest and really analyse last season, we would see that, he lost the ball a lot last season. It's just that he had a massive upside that we haven't seen yet. But also, I think Morgan Rogers thrives off interplay. And at the present moment, there just seems to be complete disarray when it comes to that kind of play. I know we're missing Tielemans. I know we're missing that ability to play the ball through the lines. But that's the key. If we're going to play this formation, we need to have people passing the ball through the lines. Where are the individuals that can pick a pass and just completely wipe out defences? I don't see enough of that. It is a lot of sideways, backwards. And we need to be brave enough to play, I don't want to say play the dangerous ball, but play the ball that's going to take people out. And even in the few minutes that I saw Harvey Elliott on the pitch and Jadon Sancho, you just see the willingness to do that. And I think because Morgan, in some respects, does think on that wavelength, when there's others that don't think on that wavelength, playing with him, it just gets frustrating. And that's when you see him getting a bit stroppy. I don't think it's okay. I don't think maybe he needs to be dropped for a game just to be able to get a kick up the backside. But ultimately, I think that, he's probably suffering from playing with less quality, if I'm honest with you. He started the game with Emre Dier and Gisan next to him. None of those guys are really going to... The interplay's not there. You're playing with McGinn and Kamara, and, as great as they are, neither of them have all the way attacking instincts. We are missing the ability of a Barkley to thread a pass. We are missing the vision of a Tielemans to thread a pass as well. So, we're struggling, and obviously some of that's injuries, but also just personnel. But let's have a look. Let's keep looking at the story of the game through the stats. Yeah, let's do this. So what we're not going to do is take into account the possession, because we were playing against 10 men, so it was always going to be outweighed. Something here that was very interesting. Sunderland had more shots than us. And again, this speaks about our inability in the final third to create chances, to create big chances. And especially against 10 men, I know they literally just sat back and soaked up. But we didn't we weren't able to create quality chances. Lots of passing, of course. We had most of the ball. But these are the things that I like to look at every week, guys. So, this is the one, the attack map. And this is where, if I'm honest, I feel like Unai's probably seen the problem. And I think he's trying to address the problem, but he doesn't have the personnel. So at the beginning of the season, all of our attacks were coming through this. Most of our concentration of play was right here in the middle. It was dark. It was darker than this blue here. And we weren't getting much up here. Now, there's a big problem because we don't have any here. But most of our concentration play was here. It was just kind of just here and maybe a little bit here. So what I'm seeing, because what teams have done, I think the way to stop our play in the past, and I think I've seen this from the top of 2025, teams just pack the midfield. They know if Yuri Tielemans gets the ball and has space, he's going to just pick people apart. So a lot of the teams man-mark Tielemans. I don't know if anyone watches, they man-mark him. They have someone on him all the time because they know that he is key for our ball progression. So a lot of teams have packed the centre of midfield. And then what we were doing at the beginning of the season was trying to keep playing this through the middle. And there was nothing for width. What I've seen in the last couple games is that we've tried to add width to our game. Now, that is a good adjustment. I think it's a good adjustment. The problem is personnel. You can't have a wide game without pace. Come on, I feel like I'm preaching now. You can't have a game that is incorporating the wide areas with no pace. And unfortunately, at present, we don't have a lot of pace. Matson's rapid. I think Sancho's faster than we think. Or maybe his feet just move quickly. But we don't have much pace. We don't have much pace when we're playing the ball movement, which all aids the outside game, but also personnel pace. So I'm seeing that Unai is trying, he's recognised, well, personally, I'm seeing that he's recognised that this centre of the field thing is not working. Teams have worked out that we just like to play through the middle and we like to, So let's adapt. These are things that I've been asking for. These are things that I've been crying for, an adaptation. And here we go. We're seeing it now, but it's personnel. But then also, can't cry about that when we're starting Gisand and we're starting Mendia. I think if you want to adopt this wide play, certain players have to play the game. And I'll get into that when I go to my starting lineup. Again, let's keep going. So the pass map, again, I think is a bit misleading because we were against 10 men. So, of course, a lot of our play was going to be here. But this is the problem again. Look how many final third entries we had. Again, we were playing against 10 men, so it was naturally going to happen. 67. The last two games, it was low 40s. Passes in the final third, 86%. 197 out of 230. We were passing the ball in and around the most dangerous area of the pitch, but we weren't doing anything. It was probably because it was side to side. Something needs to change. We need some impetus. Ollie Watkins needs to just get his act together. The fact of the matter is, guys, he's our only striker. He's our only striker. So unless somebody comes from the academy, he's our only option. He needs to get it together. And I'm praying that he just gets a goal, and maybe that goal will just give him the confidence to keep going. He seems like a confidence player, but also seems a little bit like a stroppy player as well. So, I can see what Unai's trying to do. I could see that there is some adjustments, and which might explain his frustration on the weekend. But hopefully it changes. And, hopefully it changes against Bologna, which I'm going to be at the game. I'm looking forward to that. First Europe game of the season. Hopefully we can have a resemblance of the atmosphere that we had against Bayern in that first Champions League game. I know it's not the Champions League, but let's take it seriously, man. I'm really looking forward to it. Getting the whole end. This is the team that I think we should start. This is the team I think we should start every week, to be honest, barring one change, because obviously I believe that Tielemans is our guy. All right. This is why I feel like this is our team for tomorrow against Bologna. Usually I would have Mings, but I think for Europe, it's a different type of game. I think Pau could do a good job. And I think last year when we were playing in the Champions League, Pau generally started our European games. And I think he's got the quality to be able to pick the passes and pass through the lines, which is key in our Europe games. All right. I think in an ideal world, this would be Tielemans, who can play like an 8, up and down, up and down, up and down. And obviously when we go forward, Kamara kind of covers this sweeper kind of role, which frees up this person to play more like an 8 and this person more like a 6 anyway. All right. But this is why I think this is our best chance and our best formation and our best starting 11. So we need wide play. That's the key. Evidently, right now, we're not able to go through the middle. Between these two guys, neither of them are ball players. All right, Kamara and McGinn. But when we go forward, I feel like I said this for you. This is what the kind of formation we need to adopt when we go forward. So let's say we're in the opposition half. So if Sancho wants to go out here really wide, then Maatsen needs to be here. Rodgers needs to be roaming this area here. Yeah, roaming all around here. And you have Kamara, McGinn. And then what you do on the opposite side is you have Elliot kind of playing like an inside forward with Cash keeping the width. All right? So the width comes from Cash on this side. Or interchangeably, they can kind of mimic what goes on the left-hand side. Basically, the width has to come from somebody. I think these roles of our fullbacks and our forwards, Sancho, Elliot, are key, interchangeable. Someone has to keep width. There has to be interchangeable play. Let's create. I don't know why the lines are showing up, but let's create some triangles. When Sancho's over here, we need a running behind there, someone in there, coming here. There just needs to be movement, man. There needs to be movement. And I think having Rodgers kind of patrolling, Elliot kind of patrolling these areas with width all over the place, I think it helps, man. You want to get to a point where you've got pressure on the opposition, and obviously Konsa and Powell will kind of be here, and then Kamara's covering a little bit like how like Henderson and Fabinho would cover Trent. So this is what I think we need to do. I think we need to have players. Someone needs to keep the width. That's the bottom line. Someone needs to keep the width on either side. And from that, we can get going. Yeah? We can have a great time. I think we'll have a good game tomorrow. So, guys, listen, yeah. That's the starting 11 I think we should have. Let me know if you agree. Let me know if you don't agree. Let me know if you think we need to have a formation change. Let me know your thoughts about the Monchi exit and then the potential Roberto Alabe incoming. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts about where we are as a club. I'm really enjoying the interaction. Let's keep it going. This has been Midweek Mashup. I am Noir Villain. This is Villa in Noir. Thank you for joining me. And as always, it is always up the Villa. Peace.